Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today, I'm so excited to be talking Marvelous Miss Maisel. So, season 4 just came out, so I thought, you know what? Let's dip our toes in it, see if we're into it. I'm going to be talking about episode 1. So, I have loved this show since the beginning. I'll be totally honest with you, it's one of those shows that I laugh along to. I don't obsessively watch it like I do some of my other things. I watch it and then I'll take a little break from it and I'll come back and watch again and think, oh, this is a really good show. So that's kind of how I've been with this. I knew that the new season was out and I thought, you know what, I'll watch it and just talk about it and see where we go. I'm saying that to say there's a lot of characters. I'm probably going to mix up names, but I'm going to do the best I can and we'll talk through it. If you're into it, let me know. If not, we'll find something else. So let's get into this episode. So again, this is season 4, episode 1, Rumble on the Wonder Wheel. So just a reminder, in season 3, we saw Midge traveling around with Shy Baldwin, and they were set to head to, I think it was Berlin, and Midge ended up doing something real dumb. She got advice, I think it was from Shy's manager, to maybe poke a little more fun at Shy. Well, she shot herself in the foot, and she ended up riffing on his flamboyant nature, we'll say. And she ends up outing him. And the crowd, of course, this was, the 50s, 60s? So, yeah, they weren't having that. So, Shy, he didn't appreciate it. He ended up making sure she got to the tarmac with her manager and ended up saying, nope, they're kicked off the tour. So they're stuck on the airport or at the airport with all of their things. So right off the bat, we see Midge. She's smoking. She's discussing revenge. I'm wondering, where is she? Because last we saw her, she was on the tarmac, and now she's up telling jokes. And it looks like she's back at the club she performs at quite a bit. And it starts out here, and then we work backwards. But she talks about soul-crushing revenge that she wants and how she's consumed with it. My favorite line here is how she said, I'll befriend your daughter and introduce her to a poet, and I'll laugh and laugh at their wedding. She brings up the tarmac and watching the plane as it flew away. Once again, I realized a man stepped in and effed up my life. And that's where we get the flashback to find out what happened. So, of course, we see she is in the taxi. She's in there with Susie. I love Susie. She's fabulous in this role. She plays Midge's manager, of course. So Midge is kind of having a mental breakdown. She's dealing with all the stress. She just starts laughing, taking off her clothes, saying she wants to get rid of anything associated with this night because it's just gone so wrong. This is, again, right after she was dropped. She was supposed to be on tour, and Shy dropped her, made her show up at the airplane, and then said, nope, you're not coming. She has this complete full-on meltdown where she's standing out in her undergarments and hitting the cab with a tree branch, and she gets into a slap fight with the manager. She said she lost her mind and lost her career. I was on tour with the biggest star in the world, and now he won't talk to me, and I thought we were friends. Talks about Prague, and anyway, so Susie ends up talking her into getting back in the car and putting her clothes back on, and they're not ready to go back to Queens, is what they're saying. They're just not ready for this tour to not happen. So Midge and Susie, we see them on the way. They end up going back to the club, and they say it's the club where it all started, where they first saw each other less than 2 years ago. They have to sleep there because their families think that they are in Prague, and they don't have anywhere to go right now, so they're just going to sleep there. So Susie's sleeping. Midge puts on her coat. She ends up going back out and going for a walk. I really love this actress. I think she does a fantastic job in this role. She's very quick. They write very well for her. I'm obsessed with Gilmore Girls. Of course, we know it's the same people that did Gilmore Girls, and I love it. I really do. I enjoy this show very much. You see a lot of quick dialogue, and I appreciate that about the show. It's never boring. Okay, so they figure out that this was pre-planned, being stood up at the airport, because it's hit the newspapers. They gave the story to the paper yesterday, and they wanted us to go to the tarmac and humiliate us. She's afraid her father-in-law, Moisha, is absolutely going to explode. Basically, what happened is she went and bought back her old apartment that she shared with Joel. That's where she wants to raise her children. She didn't have the money to do it from the tour yet, so she got her father-in-law to bankroll her to do this. But now it's like, oh God, the tour money isn't coming in. But to make it even worse, Susie, her manager, has been holding some of her money for Midge. But as we found out, Susie has a pretty severe spending/gambling problem and can't hold on to money. And Midge is saying, I need my money. I need to give him something to get him off my back. And Susie starts acting so weird about it and keeps bringing up expensive hairspray that Midge got. And I'll get you your money. She runs to the newsstand and says, hey, I got to use the phone. There's this drunk guy there. It was so funny. And he says, I'm currently wooing a lady. She says, well, if you tied the ropes up tight enough, she'll be there when you get back. So she ends up calling her sister Tess. And if you remember Tess, if she looks familiar, she's from Gilmore Girls. She played Francie. What did I just say? Fancy. Okay, Francie. So let's go over to Joel. Joel is at his club. There's this very intense looking guy there. They go downstairs. So if you remember correctly, we found out that so he started this club, right? And it's actually becoming popular. Well, below it is an illegal gambling den. And so he's befriended, they say it's the daughter and then they say it's not the daughter. He befriended May. And I believe it's her parents that run the gambling den, but they're all being so quiet and secretive about it. I don't know who's running it. But he's talking about all the big plans he has for his club and how well it's doing, and they are pissed. They don't want his club to do well because it draws more attention to their gambling activities downstairs, and they don't want that. They did not want the business to do well. So then we go over, it's the kid's birthday party. It's one of the kids' birthday party, or so we think. And it's Abe and Rose, which are Midge's parents. And, of course, we have Shirley and Moshe, which are Joel's parents. And they're there to celebrate Ethan's birthday. We find out they changed Ethan's birthday. It's not actually this day. It's in November. But that wasn't good for anyone. So they went ahead and they decided to celebrate it now. So they are having this party, and then they're going to head over to Coney Island so they can ride the Wonder Wheel. So Midge calls. She finds out about this Wonder Wheel plan. She's not thrilled that they changed her son's birthday so it could fit all of their schedules. But we see her. She had to learn about the Wonder Wheel. Okay, meanwhile, we go over to Susie with her sister. They go... Okay, so this is a whole thing. Do you remember that they burned down... Was it their mother's house to collect insurance money? Well, she and her sister Tess go to pick up the check that they're supposed to be getting from the insurance money. They are clients of Mr. Frick. Well, they get taken into this weird hallway, like with these doors with no handles. This guy, Mr. B, sits down and scares the crap out of them, and he says, I need some answers. And Susie is only interested in the check because she's used all of Miss Maisel's money, so she has to give her money somehow, so she's hoping this check will be the answer. But again, he's needing answers. Well, he wants to know about the fire, so he's investigating it to see whether or not they actually caused the fire. They say that they were at church, and Tessa's husband was drinking and then came and found them at church, and maybe mom fell asleep with a cigarette in her hand and there's bad wiring at the house, that sort of thing. Mr. B is taking notes. He says he's working the case. They're shocked to hear that there's a case. As Susie and Tess are leaving, he's like, nice to meet you, Tess. So they're implying that he's kind of into Tess a little bit. So there's a very funny scene where Susie's like, okay, listen, you got to take one for the team now. Do me another favor here. He has to be convinced to overlook this. I've seen you let your tit fall out of your shirt for free beer before. And she's like, only if it's imported. So she's going to see what she can do. Curious to see where they go with this. So then we go over to Joel. Susie goes to see him because she's in real trouble with this whole money thing. And he's just completely shocked to see her. He thought that she and Midge were on tour. Where's Midge? Where's Midge? She says, I need Midge's money. He says, you told me under no circumstances to give it to you. And by the way, you never even gave it to me. She's like, oh, shit. Can I have a loan? So he said, you told me a couple of days ago that when you get any money at all, you lose it immediately. What happened to the money you were going to transfer to me that was Miriam's? And she's like, oh, never mind that. Don't tell Miriam I was here. So Susie's at the bar. She's like, oh, shit, what am I going to do? We see this guy. We find out his name. Oh, my gosh, I wrote it down and now I can't find it. Whatever his name is. We see him there hustling people. He's hustling people with cards. And he's trying. She's like, oh, God, I hope he stays over there. She says she doesn't like magicians. Well, he ends up walking over to her and trying to talk to her. She's not interested in it. And he can tell, he says, you're having trouble with money. And she's like, wait, what? He keeps asking her which hand for fun, which hand for fun. Literally, that's what he says over and over. She says, look, pal, screw with someone else. He asked where she'd like to be right now. She'd been staring at this like field and stream and this calendar on the wall. So he's like, I'll help you get there. She has an out-of-body experience for a moment where she's standing in that field and then comes back to and turns out she's bought him a drink. So it implies that he hypnotized her. Meanwhile, at Coney Island, Abe is being pissy. How else would Abe be, right? It's supposed to be not a full day at Coney Island. They're just going to go ride the Wonder Wheel. Moshe and Shirley are there, so they have to be buying ice cream, and Joel's there, and Moshe starts talking to Joel about the landlords and what's going on. How they don't want his club to succeed, that sort of thing. His dad's like, Joel, just throw money at the problem. That fixes everything. So Joel is struck with inspiration. He ends up giving May a call and saying, listen, tell your parents or whoever those people are. That's what he says because it's unclear if it's her parents or not. I'll give them 10%. She says, listen, you need to start with 5% and I'll talk you up to 10. They agree on that. He'll start paying them that. They'll leave him alone. But she does warn him next year they're going to raise the rent to an unreasonable amount. It's going to be high. It's going to be unfair. Okay, so then at Coney Island, we see Midge shows up. Everybody is totally shocked. She shouldn't be there. They think she's supposed to be in Prague. Rose is working on her matchmaking business. She has to be on a call at 3 p.m., so you know something's going to happen there. So Miriam walks up, is talking to her mom, her mother-in-law, and they talk about why was the tour canceled? She has to explain to them that she said something on stage. She's like, it's not like I was fired. I got mad, or they got mad and they dropped me from the tour. Moshe is so pissed because he just lent her all this money to buy the apartment back. Joel is completely confused. He's starting to learn, oh my God, my dad gave her the money and she's buying our old apartment. He also, of course, doesn't speak up, but he knows that the money is possibly not there because that business manager gambled it away. They're playing the telephone game while riding the Wonder Wheel, and it's a pretty funny scene to watch them all reacting. And she says she was very happy in that apartment with Joel. That's where she wants to raise her kids. Her kids, of course, Jacob, Petey, and Ethan. So from here, we go to Joel at the club. That big mysterious man is there again to shake him down for some money. He says he's officially in the nightclub business because it's his first shakedown. After this, we see Susie arrive, so it's his second shakedown. He says, sit down and talk to me. Midge needs her money. So now that he understands what's going on with the old apartment and that his father gave her the money, but that she was supposed to have this special to pay him back, that sort of thing, he agrees to write a check to the business partner here. I don't know why I always forget her name is Susie. I call her business partner, but her name is Susie. He agrees to write a check to Susie and says, don't tell Midge that you talked to me. Don't tell her this is, from me. Pretend like this is her money, and then you're paying her with it. Susie has a very funny line here where she says, wow, you are not most of the things I've been calling you. So he totally bails her out, but he says first he needs to have a chat with her. What did you do with Midge's money, and what does she think you're doing with it? So from here, we go to this cafe where we see Susie and Midge. There's all these other stand-ups hanging out at this cafe. She's able to give Midge her check, and I want to know more because what up with that? Like, we saw Midge and Joel hook up last season. I'm guessing he still loves her and wants to make sure she's taken care of. How in the world is Susie going to pay him back for that money? Okay, so while they're sitting at this cafe, Eugene and Sally come up, and he's a fellow comic. They talk about this article that's in the paper about her. And she says she has a knack for securing these jobs, but she does a better job at losing them. We find out about, of course, the Apollo gig. As we know, it went really great. And she talks to Susie about, she's like, listen, we're doing all these pre-planned things. I'm so much better at riffing. Think about my best gigs, like especially when she first started out. She would go up and say what she wanted, and people just responded so much better to her. So she says, make me a headliner. And Susie's like, that's not how things are done. That's not how the business is done. And Midge says, well, let's change the business. So I like where they're headed with this. I like that she's going to be riffing. She's just going to be, going off the cuff. And we cut back to the original stand-up gig that we started the episode with. And it's kind of making more sense where she's been, where we're headed. Again, they do a great job storytelling in this. And I just like where they're going with this. I like that she's getting her voice back. And she even talks about her voice being a powerful thing. She knows she messed up. She's trying to make things right or get revenge, whatever she's trying to do here. So she is fabulous. Everybody cheers her, and she says, lesson effing learned. Thank you and good night. We hear loud music playing, and this episode ends with a song playing saying, being good won't be good enough. I have to be the best or it's nothing at all. So again, ties back into her and her personality and her decision that she's just going to not do these pre-rehearsed things anymore. She's going to go up and riff. She's much better at that. She feels confident. And she's great at it. She commands attention that way. And she's really funny, really fast. And I love it. So that's it for the episode. That's where I need you guys to comment. Have you watched previous seasons? Are you watching this season? Are you into these recaps? Do you want to keep going? Should we veer on to something else? I'm just very curious. So let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for sticking with me for every episode you've watched, for all the comments, for all the thumbs up. I really appreciate every single one of them. You guys are fabulous. I appreciate you all. If you're into Patreon, check that out. We're having a lot of fun over there. Recapping the original Sex and the City series. And we are on Always Sunny on one of the tiers as well. And the top tier, they get to pick what we watch. So we're having a lot of fun with all of that. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I will talk to you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.